is an overview of how to connect Airtable to Spotify to extend the capability of your base. You recall back to part 4 of this series where we built an automation that used a Gmail action module. We got this module by clicking in here, then coming down to the integrations section and selecting Gmail. We could have selected Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Calendar, Google Docs, Facebook, whatever it may be. Imagine now that in this integration section, there was something that said Spotify. And then when you went to select which action you needed, it said get artist metadata, or get all tracks on certain playlists, or find out information about certain tracks or albums, or whatever it may be. That is not something that Airtable is providing you out of the box at the moment, but I'm going to show you how to build it yourself. First, let's check out the Spotify API documentation. We're going to breeze through the overview here, which basically wants you to click on the dashboard, find your client secret and your client ID, and save that information for use later in the Getting Started section. Now you request an API access token using 3 lines of code, and that access token is your key. That's what allows you to open the door to this entire section down here in the lower left, which has endless amounts of endpoints with regards to albums, artists, playlists, tracks, whatever it may be. For the purpose of this demonstration, we are going to get metadata about artists. Every time a new artist is added to our database, we're going to call into the Spotify search endpoint and say, search for this artist, return for me information about that artist. And it's going to bring in an image, a Spotify URL, a popularity score, and Spotify follower numbers. That whole process requires 2 automations. The first automation gets your access token. Every hour, run a script, update Airtable with that value. The second automation goes out and says anytime that a new artist is added to the base, query the API endpoint for search with the name of the artist that's provided in the Airtable base and return all the information I talked about back into Airtable automatically on a schedule. Here's how it looks. Back into our interface, we click Add Artist. We type in Bruno Mars. Now, normally, we would just get another line or another record created in our base with the string of characters called Bruno Mars, and we would be left to our own devices at that point to add in any information we want. The image of the artist, the Spotify profile, the number of Spotify followers. But what we're doing here in the background is we are running an automation that you just saw that's coming in and it's bringing that information in for us automatically. So here we go. Bruno Mars has his image, 60 million Spotify followers, Spotify popularity of 94, and a button here that allows us to go out and look at that Spotify profile at any time. Boom. Next, come in and do another one. Let's say Taylor Swift. Boom. Now come into that automation and you'll see it's currently running in progress over here. Running a script. Step is pending. Once this step becomes unpending, you're going to see Taylor Swift show up in our base. All of this is just to demonstrate for you what's possible. If you want to see a step-by-step instruction about how these scripts are written, how these automations are connected to the base, sure, let me know in the comments and I can provide that for you. But what I wanted to simply demonstrate here is that your Airtable is a computer. You've designed it properly. You've structured it properly. It has scripting automations. It has API endpoints to read, to write, to get, to post. Because of that, you can now talk to other computers like Spotify, like Chartmetric, like Luminate, like sound charts, whatever it may be, to the extent that you have other information in other sources and you want to bring it into your Airtable programmatically, you now have all of the ingredients, all of the tools that are required to do so. I recommend that you come into the Spotify web API documentation, take a look at all this information in the lower left, and figure out if there's something in here that might make your job easier. Let's say you work in the streaming department, and every Friday night or Friday morning, or whatever it may be, you are being asked to check what songs from our releases this week were put into Spotify New Music Friday. Well, you can just get all the information via API of every song that's currently in New Music Friday, create an automation that cross-references that with the songs that you released that week, and be able to, in an instant, report back to your company to say, we got these songs in New Music Friday this week. And then insert whatever playlist you want. Rap Caviar, New and Pop, Today's Top Hits, whatever it may be. You can now do these things automatically and programmatically. Let's say you have artists and you want to track their Spotify followers, their Spotify monthly listeners every week and see if there's been any growth that you weren't quite aware of. You can do that, and you can create alerts that send Slack messages, send emails, whatever it may be, to your team to let them know that something's happening. It allows you to cover more ground with fewer resources and really gets you in the game with these other software platforms. Again, I know this was a quick overview. There's plenty of things we could talk about with regards to how these scripts are written and each one of these steps and how the Lego pieces are put together. Let me know in the comments if that's interesting to you. If so, I can do an entire video about how to do that, and we can go on and then we can extend that series to be whatever it is that we think is helpful. I would recommend exploring sound charts. I would recommend exploring Luminate's API. And this is going to basically take highly manual tasks that you guys are already required to do, and it's going to automate them in a way that not only makes your company more efficient, but it makes your life better. With that, I'll leave it there. Let me know if you want to look under the hood, and we can dive deeper into this subject. Thanks so much.